From physical digital. Earlier, documents existed physically. Now, documents exist electronically. Earlier, signatures were handwritten. Now, digital signatures authenticate identity. Earlier, contracts required paper. Now, electronic contracts are common. Scales hash the legal challenge. The law had to answer questions like, if a document exists only electronically, is it legally valid? If someone steals information without taking physical property, is it theft? If a crime happens online across borders, which country's law applies? These questions created the need for cyber legislation. Globe with meridians, the invisible constitutional transformation. Something interesting happened when society entered cyberspace. Earlier, constitutional rights were usually discussed in physical spaces. Classical building hash streets. Newspapers. School universities. House homes. Today, many of those activities occur online. This means constitutional law is no longer concerned only with physical spaces. It must increasingly protect people inside digital spaces as well. Think of it this way. Physical citizen # digital citizen # digital rights # constitutional protection. The Constitution remains the same. The environment changes. Addition 2, place after human being, internet, expression, rights, constitutional protection. A preview of the entire module. Notice what has already appeared in the journey. Bust in silhouette human being. #. Speaking head in silhouette # expression. #. Lock privacy. #. Floppy disk personal data. #. Globe with meridians digital participation. These are not separate topics. They are different constitutional protections required by the same person living in cyberspace. That is why Module 2 is best understood as the study of human rights in the digital age. Hermione's understanding chain. Remember this. Computer development. #. Digital information creation. #. Online communication. #. New forms of human interaction. #. New forms of crime. #. Cyber law. Glowing star end of Stage 2, Module I, Part 1. At this point, the foundation is clear. Computer technology created the digital environment. The digital environment changed human behavior. Changed behavior created new legal disputes. And those disputes demanded a new legal framework. Next in Stage 2, Part 2 we will connect. Globe with meridians advantages of computers. Globe showing Europe-Africa impact on society. Spiderweb # cyberspace. Scales # why cyberspace requires legal regulation. With the same Hermione-style conceptual chain. Fleur-de-lis # cyber law. Module I. Introduction. Stage 2. Reading for understanding. Part 2. Hermione at the library mode. Understanding the connections, not memorizing yet. Glowing star continuing the big chain. We already understood. Personal computer technology. #. Globe with meridians digital information. #. Hashtag personal computer online interaction. #. Scales # need for cyber law. Now we move forward. The computer was only the beginning. The real legal revolution happened when computers became connected. That connection created Globe with meridians cyberspace. And cyberspace transformed society completely. Personal computer 4. Advantages of computers. Hermione would never study advantages as a simple list. She would ask, how did computers change human life so dramatically that law had to respond? The answer lies in their capabilities. High voltage sign 1. Speed and efficiency. The greatest advantage of computers is speed. A human may take hours to calculate, organize, or analyze information. A computer can perform millions of operations within seconds. Examples: banking transactions, online communication, data processing, scientific research, legal connection. Because transactions became faster. Black right arrow # business moved online. Black right arrow # digital contracts developed. Black right arrow # electronic transactions required legal recognition. Floppy disk 2. Storage capacity. Computers can store enormous amounts of information in small physical spaces. Earlier, a company needed rooms full of files. Now, thousands of documents can exist digitally. Examples: medical records, financial information, government databases, corporate information, legal connection. When information became digital property, problems emerged. Who owns data? Who can access it? What happens when data is stolen? This created the importance of data protection and cybersecurity. Globe showing Europe-Africa 3. Global connectivity. Computers connected people across geographical boundaries. A person sitting in one country can communicate with another country, transfer money internationally, access information globally. Legal connection. The physical world has borders, but digital communication often ignores borders. This created difficult legal questions. Which country's law applies? Which court has jurisdiction? Bullseye 4. Accuracy and automation. Computers reduce human errors and allow automated decision-making. Used in banking systems, healthcare, transportation, artificial intelligence. Legal connection. Automation creates new questions. If an automated system causes harm, who is responsible? Developer, company, user. This becomes part of modern cyber law debates. Office Building 5. Improvement of business activities. Computers changed commercial activities. Businesses now depend on e-commerce, online payments, digital marketing, cloud storage. Legal connection. Business moved into cyberspace. Therefore laws had to regulate electronic contracts, digital signatures, online fraud, consumer protection. Globe showing America's 5. Impact of computers on society. Now Hermione would connect technology with society. Because law does not regulate machines. Law regulates human behavior affected by machines. Hospital A. Impact on healthcare. Computers transformed healthcare through digital medical records, online consultations, medical research databases. Legal issues. Confidentiality of patient information, data protection, unauthorized access to medical records. Graduation cap B. Impact on education. Computers changed education through online classes, digital libraries, research databases. Legal issues. Copyright infringement, online examination fraud, unauthorized sharing of educational material. Bank C. Impact on banking and finance. Banking moved from physical branches to digital platforms. Examples: internet banking, digital payments, online transactions. Legal issues. Phishing, identity theft, financial fraud. Classical building #D. Impact on government. Governments use computers for e-governance, digital identity systems, online services. Legal issues. Protection of citizen data, cyber attacks on government systems, privacy concerns. Busts in silhouette E. Impact on social relationships. Communication changed through social media, messaging platforms, online communities. Legal issues. New forms of harm developed. Cyberbullying, cyberstalking, online harassment, defamation. Spiderweb #6. Cyberspace. Now comes one of the most important concepts of Module I. Everything we studied leads here. Globe with meridians, meaning of cyberspace. Cyberspace is the virtual environment created by interconnected computer networks where digital communication, storage, and interaction occur. It is not a physical place. It is created through computers, networks, internet infrastructure, digital data. Book's origin of the term. The word cyberspace was popularized by science fiction writer William Gibson in his 1984 novel Neuromancer. Originally, it was a fictional concept. Today, it represents the real digital environment where modern society operates. Scales # physical space versus cyberspace. Hermione would create this comparison. Physical world. Cyberspace. Has geographical boundaries. Borderless environment. Physical objects. Digital information. Physical identity. Digital identity. Territorial jurisdiction. Complex jurisdiction issues. Paper documents. Electronic records. Why is cyberspace legally challenging? Because traditional law developed around physical concepts. Traditional questions. Where did the crime happen? Who physically possessed the property? Where is the offender located? But cyberspace creates problems. A person may commit an act in one country, use servers in another country, harm victims in several countries. The connection between actor location harm becomes complicated. Globe with meridians 7. Need for cyberspace. Now we ask, why did society need cyberspace? Because modern society required high-voltage sign faster communication. Emails and online platforms replaced slower communication methods. Globe showing Europe-Africa global interaction. People and businesses could interact beyond geographical boundaries. Open file folder digital information management. Large amounts of information could be stored and accessed efficiently. Money bag digital economy. Online markets and electronic transactions became possible. Classical building # modern governance. Governments could provide services digitally. Hermione's understanding formula. Remember the complete chain. Computer development. Black down arrow #. Increased processing plus storage. Black down arrow #. Internet connectivity. Black down arrow #. Creation of cyberspace. Black down arrow #. Transformation of society. Black down arrow #. New legal problems. Black down arrow #. Development of cyber law. Glowing star end of stage 2, module I. Completed understanding map. White heavy check mark basics of computer. White heavy check mark origin of computers. White heavy check mark evolution of computers. White heavy check mark advantages of computers. White heavy check mark impact on society. White heavy check mark introduction to cyberspace. White heavy check mark need for cyberspace. Next we move into the final conceptual layer of module I. Globe with meridians emerging issues in cyberspace. Warning sign # violations in cyberspace. Scales # why cyber law became necessary. This will complete the understanding stage of module I. Fleur-de-lis # cyber law. Module I. Introduction. Stage 3. Reading for memory. Part 1. Hermione Granger library mode. Now we stop only understanding. We begin building memory anchors, the things your brain should immediately catch in the examination hall. 1. Add a 3 dimensions of cyberspace formula. Right now you define cyberspace well. But examiners love classification. Add TDH formula. T equals technology. Computers network servers. D equals data. Information digital records databases. H equals human activity. Communication commerce social interaction. Memory chain. Technology. Data. Human activity. Cyberspace. This gives more substance to any 5-mark answer on cyberspace. 2. Add why traditional law failed. You already discussed the need for cyber law. Add 1 examiner-ready formula. BIAN Formula. B equals borderless nature. I equals intangible data. A equals anonymity. N equals new forms of crime. Memory trigger. Traditional law. BIAN Problems. Cyber law needed. This is a very strong answer framework. 3. Add a jurisdiction link. This is probably the most valuable module I addition. Example. Hacker Russia. Server Singapore. Victim India. Bank UAE. Question. Which court? Which law? Which country investigates? Examiner keyword. Jurisdictional complexity. This creates a bridge into later cyber law topics. The purpose of Stage 3. In Stage 2, we understood the story. Personal computer. Black down arrow hash. Globe with meridians cyberspace. Black down arrow hash. Busts in silhouette social transformation. Black down arrow hash. Scales hash legal problems. Black down arrow hash. Scroll cyber law. Now Stage 3 asks. If the examiner wakes me up at 3 a.m. and asks Module I, what words, concepts, and connections must immediately come to my mind? This is the memory map. Glowing star Module I memory map. The golden chain of Module I. Remember. CEAICNEVC. Computer monitor hash computer basics. Scroll evolution and origin. High voltage sign advantages. Globe showing Europe-Africa impact on society. Globe with meridians cyberspace. Link symbol need for cyberspace. Warning sign hash emerging issues. Police cars revolving light violations in cyberspace. Scales hash cyber law need. This is the complete journey. Personal computer 1. Basics of computer. Memory trigger. Computer equals input plus processing plus storage plus output. Whenever you see computer basics, your mind should immediately connect. 4 functional units. 1. Input. The process through which data enters the computer. Examples. Keyboard. Scanner. Mouse. Keyword. Data entry. 2. Processing. The computer analyses and converts raw data into useful information. Keyword. CPU. Central Processing Unit. The brain of the computer. 3. Storage. The computer preserves information for future use. Examples. Hard disk. Cloud storage. Memory devices. Keyword. Digital data preservation. 4. Output. The final result produced by the computer. Examples. Display. Printed document. Digital response. Memory formula. IPO plus S. I input. P processing. O output. S storage. Scales hash legal connection memory. Why does a law student study computer basics? Because cyber offenses attack these areas. Hardware. Physical computer damage. Example. Destroying computer systems. Software. Manipulating computer programs. Example. Installing malware. Data. Unauthorized access or stealing information. Example. Data theft. Network. Attacking communication systems. Example. Network intrusion. Fire exam keyword. Cyber law begins with understanding the technological foundation upon which digital activities operate. Classical building #2. Origin of computers. Memory trigger. Calculation, machine, electronic system, personal computer, internet. The computer developed through stages. Stage 1. Calculation devices. Purpose. To assist human calculations. Keyword. Automation of calculation. Stage 2. Mechanical computers. Purpose. To perform advanced calculations. Keyword. Mechanical assistance. Stage 3. Electronic computers. Major change. Machines became faster and more powerful. Keyword. Electronic processing. Stage 4. Personal computers. Major change. Computers entered ordinary households. Impact. Education. Business. Communication. Keyword. Accessibility. Stage 5. Internet era. The computer became connected globally. Keyword. Connectivity. Memory formula. CMEPI. Calculation devices. Mechanical computers. Electronic computers. Personal computers. Internet era. Scales #legal connection. The origin of computers explains why cyber law became necessary. Early computers. Black right arrow mainly calculation tools. Modern computers. Black right arrow store identity, money, communication, and personal information. Therefore, more technology equals more legal responsibility. Globe with meridians 3. Evolution of computers. Memory trigger. From calculator to digital society. The evolution is not just technological. It is social and legal. First evolution. Computers became faster. Result. More information could be processed. Second evolution. Computers became smaller. Result. People could personally use them. Third evolution. Computers became connected. Result. Birth of cyberspace. Fourth evolution. Computers became intelligent. Result. Artificial intelligence and automated systems. Evolution formula. Size, speed, connectivity, intelligent. Remember, as computers became more advanced, human dependence increased. Scales # legal importance. Evolution created new questions. Earlier, what physical object was stolen? Now, what digital information was accessed? Earlier, where did the crime occur? Now, which country has jurisdiction over an online crime? Glowing star 4. Advantages of computers. Memory formula. Safe. S. Speed. Computers perform tasks rapidly. Accuracy. They reduce human calculation errors. F. Filing and storage. Large amounts of information can be stored. E. Efficiency. Work becomes faster and organized. Scales # legal connection. Advantages created dependence. Dependence created vulnerability. Vulnerability created cyber offenses. Globe showing Europe-Africa 5. Impact on society. Memory trigger. EBGS. E. Education. Online learning and digital libraries. Legal issue. Copyright infringement. B. Banking. Online transactions and digital payments. Legal issue. Fraud and identity theft. G. Governance. E-governance services. Legal issue. Protection of citizen data. S. Social communication. Social media and digital interaction. Legal issue. Cyber harassment and defamation. Hermione's final memory chain for Part 1. Write this in your brain. Computer development. Black down arrow #. Digital information. Black down arrow #. Online interaction. Black down arrow #. Social dependence. Black down arrow #. Digital risks. Black down arrow #. Cyber law. Stage 3, Module I, Part 1 complete. Locked memory areas. White heavy check mark basics of computer. White heavy check mark origin of computer. White heavy check mark evolution of computer. White heavy check mark advantages of computer. White heavy check mark impact on society. Next part will complete Module I memory anchors. Globe with meridians cyberspace. Link symbol need for cyberspace. Warning sign # emerging issues. Police cars revolving light violations in cyberspace. Scales # need for cyber law. That is where the actual cyber law identity begins. Fleur-de-lis # cyber law. Module I. Introduction. Stage 3. Reading for memory. Part 2. Hermione Granger library mode. We are now locking the most important conceptual pillars of cyber law. These are the areas where examiners expect legal reasoning, not just definitions. Globe with meridians 6. Cyberspace. Memory trigger. Cyberspace equals digital environment created by interconnected networks. Whenever you see the word cyberspace, remember, not a physical place, not a geographical territory, a virtual environment where digital activities happen. Book's origin of the term. The term cyberspace was popularized by William Gibson in his 1984 novel Neuromancer. Memory keyword. Fictional idea, real legal environment. Originally, a science fiction concept. Today, a real space where communication occurs, transactions happen, data is stored, crimes are committed. Scales # physical space versus cyberspace. Physical space. Remember, House location-based. Round pushpin territory-based. Scales # clear boundaries. Example. A theft happens in a particular place. Cyberspace. Remember. Globe with meridians borderless. Floppy disk data-based. Link symbol network-based. Example. A hacker in one country attacks a system in another country. Memory formula. Physical world equals location. Cyber world equals connection. Scales # legal importance of cyberspace. Traditional law depends on place of crime, identity of offender, physical evidence. But cyberspace creates difficulty because the person committing the act, the computer used, the server, and the victim may all exist in different locations. Fire exam keyword. Cyberspace challenges traditional concepts of territorial jurisdiction because digital activities transcend geographical boundaries. Link symbol 7. Need for cyberspace. Memory trigger. CDEG. C. Communication. Cyberspace allows instant communication. Examples. Emails. Video conferences. Social media. D. Digital economy. Modern commerce depends on online platforms. Examples. E-commerce. Digital payments. Online banking. E. Electronic information storage. Large amounts of information can be stored digitally. Examples. Government records. Medical records. Corporate data. G. Governance. Governments use cyberspace for public services. Digital identity systems. Online administration. The legal connection. The more society depends on cyberspace. Black down arrow hash. The more valuable digital information becomes. Black down arrow hash. The greater the possibility of misuse. Black down arrow hash. The greater the need for legal protection. Warning sign #8. Emerging issues in cyberspace. Memory trigger. ADDJ. Artificial intelligence challenges. AI creates new questions. Who is responsible for AI-generated harm? Can machines create legal liability? Examples. Deepfakes. Automated fraud. AI manipulation. D. Data protection issues. Data has become a valuable asset. Problems. Unauthorized collection. Data leaks. Privacy violations. D. Digital identity problems. Online identity can be manipulated. Issues. Fake profiles. Identity theft. Impersonation. J. Jurisdiction problems. The biggest challenge. Where should an online crime be tried? Example. A person in country A attacks a server in country B, affecting victims in country C. Memory formula. Technology grows faster than law. Therefore, new technology, new problems, new legal responses. Police cars revolving light 9. Violations in cyberspace. Cyber violations can be remembered through their targets. IIS. Bust in silhouette against individuals. Office building against institutions. Classical building # against state. Bust in silhouette A. Violations against individuals. Cyber stalking. Repeated online monitoring or harassment of a person. Keyword. Digital surveillance. Cyber harassment. Online behavior causing mental distress or intimidation. Examples. Threatening messages. Online abuse. Identity theft. Using another person's identity without permission. Examples. Stealing passwords. Misusing personal details. Cyber defamation. Publishing false statements online, harming reputation. Office building B. Violations against institutions. Hacking. Unauthorized access to computer systems. Data theft. Stealing confidential organizational information. Phishing attacks. Fraudulent attempts to obtain sensitive information. Examples. Passwords. Banking details. Classical building #C. Violations against state. Cyber terrorism. Using technology to attack national security systems. Targets. Defense systems. Critical infrastructure. Cyber warfare. Digital attacks between states. Scales #10. Need for cyber law. The most important memory area of Module I. Because this explains the birth of the subject. Memory formula. Old laws plus new technology equals legal gap. Traditional laws were created for a physical world. Cyber activities created problems. 1. Intangible nature of data. Traditional theft involved physical property. But digital information can be copied without removing the original. Question. Can digital theft be treated like traditional theft? 2. Electronic records. Earlier legal systems focused on paper documents. Cyber society required recognition of electronic records, digital signatures, electronic contracts. 3. Jurisdiction problems. Traditional crimes usually happen within geographical boundaries. Cyber crimes cross borders. 4. New forms of crime. Traditional laws were not designed specifically for hacking, phishing, cyber stalking, data breaches. Scroll legal solution. Information Technology Act, 2000. The IT Act, 2000 was introduced to provide a legal framework for 1. Electronic transactions. Recognition of electronic records. Digital signatures. 2. Cyber offenses. Creation of legal provisions against unauthorized access. Damage to computer systems. Digital fraud. 3. Electronic evidence. Recognition of digital information as legally relevant evidence. Final memory map of Module I. Remember the entire module as a story. Personal computer. Created digital capability. Black down arrow hash. Globe with meridians. Cyberspace. Created a virtual environment. Black down arrow hash. Globe showing Europe-Africa digital society. Changed human interaction. Black down arrow hash. Warning sign hash cyber risks. Created new forms of harm. Black down arrow hash. Scales hash cyber law. Created legal protection. Module I, Stage 3 complete. Memory anchors locked. White heavy check mark computer basics. White heavy check mark origin. White heavy check mark evolution. White heavy check mark advantages. White heavy check mark impact on society. White heavy check mark cyberspace. White heavy check mark need for cyberspace. White heavy check mark emerging issues. White heavy check mark violations in cyberspace. White heavy check mark need for cyber law. Next step. Graduation cap Stage 4. Examiner teaching mode. Where Hermione opens her imaginary YouTube channel and explains Module I like a law professor, with deeper connections, examples, legal reasoning, and exam answer structure. Fleur-de-lis hash cyber law. Module I. Introduction. Stage 3. Reading for memory. Part 1. Hermione Granger library mode. Now we stop only understanding. We begin building memory anchors, the things your brain should immediately catch in the examination hall. The purpose of Stage 3. In Stage 2, we understood the complete journey. Personal computer. Black down arrow hash. Globe with meridians. Cyberspace. Black down arrow hash. Busts in silhouette. Digital society. Black down arrow hash. Warning sign hash cyber risks. Black down arrow hash. Scales hash legal problems. Black down arrow hash. Scroll cyber law. Now Stage 3 asks. If the examiner wakes me up at 3 a.m. and asks Module I, what keywords, concepts, provisions, and connections must instantly appear in my mind? This is the memory architecture. Glowing star Module I memory map. The golden chain of Module I. Remember. CEAICNEVC. Computer monitor hash C. Computer basics. Scroll E. Evolution and origin. High voltage signer. Advantages. Globe showing Europe-Africa I. Impact on society. Globe with meridians. C. Cyberspace. Link symbol N. Need for cyberspace. Warning sign hash E. Emerging issues. Police cars revolving light V. Violations in cyberspace. Scales hash C. Cyber law need. This is the entire story of cyber law. The examiner is basically asking, how did a machine become a legal problem? Answer. Computer connection, society, crime, law. Personal computer 1. Basics of computer. Memory trigger. Computer equals IPO plus S. Whenever you hear computer basics, immediately remember 4 functional units. 1. Input. Meaning, the process through which data enters the computer system. Examples. Keyboard # keyboard. Computer mouse # mouse. Camera scanner. Keyword. Data entry. 2. Processing. Meaning, the computer analyzes raw data and converts it into meaningful information. Main component. CPU. Central processing unit. The brain of the computer. Keyword. Data transformation. 3. Storage. Meaning, the computer preserves information for future use. Examples. Floppy disk, hard disk. Cloud # cloud storage. File dividers # memory devices. Keyword. Digital data preservation. 4. Output. Meaning, the final result produced after processing. Examples. Computer monitor # display. Printer # printed document. Mobile phone digital response. Keyword. Information delivery. Memory formula. IPO plus S. I input. P processing. O output. S storage. Scales # legal connection memory. Why does a law student study computer basics? Because cyber offenses attack the fundamental layers of a computer system. 1. Hardware attacks. Physical damage to computer equipment. Example. Destroying computer systems. 2. Software attacks. Manipulation of computer programs. Example. Malware installation. 3. Data attacks. Unauthorized access, copying, or destruction of information. Example. Data theft. 4. Network attacks. Violation of communication systems. Example. Network intrusion. Fire exam keyword. Cyber law begins with understanding the technological foundation upon which digital activities operate. Classical building #2. Origin of computers. Memory trigger. Calculation, machine, electronic system, personal computer, internet. The history of computers is a movement from simple calculation tools to a global digital ecosystem. Stage 1. Calculation devices. Purpose. To assist humans in mathematical calculations. Keyword. Automation of calculation. Stage 2. Mechanical computers. Purpose. To perform more complex calculations through mechanical systems. Keyword. Mechanical assistance. Stage 3. Electronic computers. Major change. Machines became faster, more accurate, and more powerful. Keyword. Electronic processing. Stage 4. Personal computers. Major change. Computers entered ordinary households. Impact. Books education. Office building business. Speech balloon communication. Keyword. Accessibility. Stage 5. Internet era. Major change. Computers became globally interconnected. Keyword. Connectivity. Memory formula. CMEPI. C. Calculation devices. M. Mechanical computers. E. Electronic computers. P. Personal computers. I. Internet era. Scales # legal connection. The origin of computers explains why cyber law became necessary. Early computer. Black right arrow # mainly a calculation device. Modern computer. Black right arrow # stores. Identity. Money. Communication. Personal information. Business data. Therefore, more technology equals more legal responsibility. Globe with meridians 3. Evolution of computers. Memory trigger. From calculator to digital society. The evolution of computers is not only technological. It is gear # technological. Busts in silhouette social scales # legal. First evolution. Computers became faster. Result: more information could be processed. Second evolution: computers became smaller. Result: computers became accessible to ordinary people. Third evolution: computers became connected. Result: birth of cyberspace. Fourth evolution: computers became intelligent. Result: artificial intelligence and automated decision-making systems. Evolution formula: size, B, connectivity, intelligence. Remember, as computers became more advanced, black right arrow # human dependence increased. Scales # legal importance. Technology changed the nature of legal questions. Earlier question: what physical object was stolen? Now, what digital information was accessed? Earlier question: where did the crime happen? Now, which country has jurisdiction over an online offense? Glowing star 4. Advantages of computers. Memory formula. Safe. S. Speed. Computers complete tasks rapidly. Accuracy. Computers reduce calculation errors. F. Filing and storage. Large amounts of information can be stored digitally. E. Efficiency. Work becomes faster, organized, and productive. Scales # legal connection. Advantages created. Technology dependence. Black down arrow #. Dependence created. Digital vulnerability. Black down arrow #. Vulnerability created. Cyber offenses. Globe showing Europe Africa 5. Impact on society. Memory trigger. EBGS. E. Education books. Computers transformed learning through online education. Digital libraries. Virtual classrooms. Legal issue. Copyright infringement and unauthorized distribution of digital content. B. Banking credit card. Computers transformed financial systems through online banking. Digital payments. Electronic transactions. Legal issue. Identity theft. Phishing. Financial fraud. G. Governance classical building #. Computers created. E-governance. Digital public services. Online government systems. Legal issue. Protection of citizen data and cybersecurity of government systems. S. Social communication globe with meridians. Computers changed human interaction through social media. Online communities. Instant communication. Legal issue. Cyber harassment. Cyber stalking. Online defamation. Hermione's final memory chain. Part 1. Write this inside your brain. Computer development. Black down arrow #. Digital information. Black down arrow #. Online interaction. Black down arrow #. Social dependence. Black down arrow #. Digital risks. Black down arrow #. Cyber law.